Tom wiped his greasy hands on his work shirt and stared at the flickering warning lights on his cargo ship's control panel. Red lights blinked everywhere like angry fireflies. The hyperspace engine made terrible grinding noises that no engine should ever make. "Come on, old girl," Tom said to his ship. "Just get me to the next station and I promise I'll give you a proper overhaul." Tom was a simple mechanic from Earth. He fixed things for a living. Ships, machines, anything that broke down. His cargo ship was old and cranky, but it was home. He had been delivering spare parts to mining colonies on the outer rim when everything went wrong. The engine made one final terrible scream and then everything went white. When Tom opened his eyes, he was lying on smooth crystal floor. The air smelled like flowers and electricity. He sat up slowly and looked around. His mouth fell open. He was in the biggest room he had ever seen. The ceiling stretched up so high that clouds could have formed inside. Everything was made of white and blue crystal that glowed with soft light. Tall pillars held up arches that seemed to go on forever. And there were aliens everywhere. Tom had seen aliens before. Earth was part of the Galactic Trade Network now. But he had never seen so many different types in one place. There were tall blue people with 4 arms. Small furry creatures with huge eyes. Things that looked like walking trees. Others that seemed to be made of living metal. Hundreds of different species filled the enormous hall. They were all looking at something at the far end of the room. Tom stood up and brushed crystal dust off his work clothes. He felt very small and very human in his dirty shirt and torn pants. At the end of the hall sat the most beautiful throne Tom had ever imagined. It was carved from a single massive crystal that caught light and threw rainbows everywhere. And sitting on that throne was the most powerful person in the known galaxy. Queen Zara. Everyone had heard of Queen Zara. She ruled over 10,000 worlds and commanded fleets that could crack planets. She was said to be wise, beautiful, and completely without mercy for those who crossed her. Traders whispered stories about her in spaceport bars. Some said she could read minds. Others claimed she could kill with a look. Tom had never expected to meet her. Especially not while wearing his work clothes and smelling like engine oil. The queen was even more impressive in person. She was tall and graceful, with silver skin that seemed to glow with inner light. Her long white hair flowed like liquid starlight. She wore robes of deep blue that shifted color like the depths of space. Her eyes were the purple of distant nebulas. A creature that looked like a giant crab was speaking to her in clicking sounds. The queen listened with patience, then made a gesture with her hand. Guards led the crab creature away. It seemed happy about whatever she had decided. Tom realized he was in some kind of court session. The queen was hearing cases and making judgments. He looked around for a door or a way to leave quietly. He did not belong here. "Next," called a voice that sounded like wind chimes. Tom looked around. Everyone was staring at him. A tall guard with too many teeth pointed at Tom and then at the throne. "Me?" Tom asked. The guard nodded and gave him a push toward the throne. Tom walked slowly across the crystal floor. His work boots made loud sounds that echoed in the huge space. Every alien in the hall watched him. He felt like a mouse walking into a room full of cats. When Tom reached the throne, he stopped and looked up at Queen Zara. She was even more beautiful up close. And much more scary. Her purple eyes seemed to look right through him. "Speak," she said. Her voice was like music and thunder mixed together. Tom opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no idea what to say. He was just a mechanic who had gotten lost. But as he stood there, he noticed something that made his trained eye twitch. The massive crystal throne was wobbling. It was very slight. Most people would never notice. But Tom had spent his whole life working with machines and structures. He could see that one of the throne's support crystals had a tiny crack. The whole magnificent seat was slowly becoming unstable. Tom forgot where he was. He forgot about the Queen and the court and the danger. He saw something that was broken and needed fixing. "Your throne is about to collapse," Tom said. The entire hall went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Several aliens made shocked sounds. Guards moved their hands to their weapons. Queen Zara raised one perfect eyebrow. "What did you say?" Tom pointed at the base of the throne. "The support crystal there has a fracture. The weight distribution is all wrong now. If someone sits on it wrong, the whole thing might tip over. Someone could get hurt." "You dare suggest that the eternal throne of galactic rule is defective?" asked an alien that looked like an angry bird. "I'm not suggesting anything," Tom said. "I'm telling you it needs fixing." More shocked sounds came from the crowd. Several courtiers looked like they might faint. Guards definitely had their hands on weapons now. But Queen Zara held up her hand and everyone froze. "You are a mechanic," she said. It was not a question. "Yes, Your Majesty. I fix things." "And you believe you can fix the eternal throne?" Tom looked at the throne more carefully. The crack was getting wider. "I can try. Do you have any tools?" The bird-like alien squawked in outrage. The impudence. The sheer audacity. "Your Majesty, this human should be thrown into the deepest dungeon for such disrespect." But Queen Zara was studying Tom with those deep purple eyes. "You are not afraid," she observed. Tom thought about it. "Should I be? Most beings who stand before me are trembling with terror." "Well," Tom said, "I'm a little nervous. But you seem reasonable. And that throne really is dangerous." Queen Zara made a sound that might have been laughter. "Reasonable? No one has ever called me reasonable before." She gestured to a guard. "Bring tools from the palace workshop." The guard looked confused but obeyed. The bird alien looked like it might have a heart attack. The rest of the court buzzed with whispers and shocked sounds. While they waited, Tom found himself talking to the Queen. He was not good with fancy words or court manners, so he just spoke normally. "That's a beautiful crystal," Tom said, looking at the throne. "What kind is it?" "Zeridian crystal," Queen Zara replied. "It was mined from the core of a dead star." "Wow. No wonder it's so strong. But even the best materials can fail if they're stressed wrong." "Did someone move the throne recently?" "It was relocated 3 months ago when we renovated this wing of the palace." Tom nodded. "That probably did it. Crystals like this don't like being moved. They develop stress fractures." He hummed a little tune while he thought about the best way to fix it. Queen Zara tilted her head. "What is that sound you are making?" "Oh, sorry. I hum when I work. It's an old Earth song my dad used to sing. Helps me think." "Sing it properly." Tom felt embarrassed. "I'm not much of a singer, Your Majesty." "I command you to sing." So Tom sang. It was a simple song about working hard and taking care of things you love. His voice was not fancy, but it was honest and warm. As he sang, some of the tension in the great hall seemed to ease. The guard returned with a toolkit. Tom knelt beside the throne and began working. He explained what he was doing as he went along. "See, the crack goes deep, but it's clean. I can inject some crystal bonding compound here and here. Then I'll adjust these support points to take the stress off the damaged area. The crystal will actually be stronger than before." Queen Zara leaned forward to watch. "You speak of the crystal as if it were alive." "In a way, it is," Tom said, carefully applying the bonding compound. "Everything has a kind of life to it. Machines, crystals, ships. They tell you what they need if you know how to listen." "And what does my throne tell you?" Tom paused in his work and really looked at the throne. "It tells me it wants to last forever. It's proud to hold up someone important. But it's also tired from being moved around. It wants to stay in one place and do its job right. Fascinating. Tom worked steadily, his hands sure and gentle. He had the crack sealed and the supports adjusted in less than an hour. When he finished, he tested the repair carefully. "There you go," Tom said, standing up and wiping his hands. "All steady now. Should be good for another 1,000 years or so." The throne did look more solid. Even the aliens who knew nothing about engineering could see the difference. Tom started to pack up the tools, but Queen Zara's voice stopped him. "Wait." She stood up from her throne. The entire court held its breath. Queen Zara was tall and graceful and terrible in her power. When she spoke, her voice carried to every corner of the vast hall. "In all my years of rule," she said, "thousands have come before this throne. They have offered me treasure, armies, entire worlds. They have begged for mercy, demanded justice, sworn loyalty, and threatened war. But never has anyone offered me simple kindness without wanting anything in return." Tom looked confused. "I just fixed your chair, Your Majesty. You saw that I might be in danger and acted to protect me. You worked with your hands to help someone you had never met. You treated an object that holds my power with respect, but you treated me like a person." The Queen raised her voice so that everyone in the hall could hear clearly. "This human has shown me something no warrior or diplomat ever has. He has shown me partnership without fear, service without servitude, strength without violence. He has looked at something broken and made it whole again." She turned to face the full court. Every alien was frozen in shock at what they sensed was coming. "Therefore," Queen Zara declared, her voice ringing like a bell, "I name this human, Tom of Earth, as my chosen spouse and consort to the galactic throne." The reaction was immediate and explosive. Aliens shrieked, squawked, roared, and made sounds that had no names. Several fainted. Guards looked around wildly, not sure if they should protect Tom or arrest him. Tom himself just stood there with his mouth open, a wrench still in his hand. "Your Majesty," he said weakly, "I think there's been some kind of mistake." Queen Zara smiled for the first time since Tom had arrived. It was like watching a star being born. "I never make mistakes," she said. The news of Queen Zara's announcement spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours, every space station, colony world, and trading post buzzed with the shocking story. The most powerful ruler in known space had chosen a simple human mechanic as her spouse. Tom sat in his new quarters in the royal palace, staring out a window at the city below. The room was bigger than his entire cargo ship had been. Everything was made of precious metals and rare crystals. The bed could have slept 20 people. Tom felt lost in all the luxury. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door opened to reveal Kira, Queen Zara's personal aide. She looked like a tall, elegant cat that had learned to walk on two legs. Her fur was silver and her eyes were bright green. "The Queen requests your presence in the war room," Kira said. Her voice was polite but cold. Tom followed Kira through corridors filled with priceless art from 1,000 worlds. Guards stood at attention as they passed. Tom noticed that none of them looked at him directly. Some seemed angry. Others looked confused. A few appeared frightened. The war room was smaller than the throne hall but just as impressive. A massive table showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of tiny lights represented star systems, trade routes, and fleet positions. Queen Zara stood studying the display with several military advisors. "Tom," she said without looking up. "Come and see this." Tom approached the table. The galaxy map was beautiful and terrible. Red lights marked areas of unrest. Yellow showed systems that were neutral. Green indicated loyal regions. There was too much red and yellow, not enough green. 18 noble houses have declared their opposition to our marriage, Queen Zara said calmly. They claim a human cannot be consort to the galactic throne. Admiral Beck, a blue-skinned woman with 4 arms, pointed to several red areas. Lord Vex of the Titan worlds has closed his borders to Imperial ships. The Crystal Lords are demanding a new queen be chosen. The Metal Collective is mobilizing their war fleets. What about the loyal systems? Tom asked. Admiral Beck looked surprised that he had spoken. Some remain faithful, but many are waiting to see what happens. They fear backing the wrong side. Tom studied the map carefully. He had spent years traveling trade routes and knew something about galactic politics. The rebels are mostly in the outer rim systems, right? They're far from the core worlds. Yes, Queen Zara said. What do you see? They're trying to cut off your supply lines. If they control the outer trade routes, they can starve the core worlds and force them to join the rebellion. Admiral Beck nodded reluctantly. The human is correct. Our analysts came to the same conclusion. Tom felt a flash of annoyance. My name is Tom. The Admiral looked confused. I beg your pardon. My name. It's Tom. Not the human. Queen Zara smiled slightly. Admiral Beck, please remember that Tom is my chosen consort. You will address him with proper respect. Of course, Your Majesty. My apologies, Lord Tom. Just Tom is fine, Tom said. He was not comfortable with fancy titles. Over the next few days, Tom learned how complicated palace life could be. Every meal was a formal event with dozens of rules. He had to learn which fork to use for which course and how to greet different species properly. Some aliens considered direct eye contact an insult. Others thought not looking at them was rude. The hardest part was the constant testing. Everyone wanted to see if the Queen's strange human choice was worthy of his position. They did not challenge him directly, that would have insulted Queen Zara. Instead, they found subtle ways to make him look foolish. At one dinner, Lord Thorn, who looked like a walking tree with too many eyes, served Tom a dish that was poisonous to humans. It was a test to see if Tom knew enough about alien food to protect himself. Tom looked at the dish and smiled. Thank you, Lord Thorn, but I'm allergic to sulfur compounds. Could I have something else? Lord Thorn's leaves rustled with surprise. You know what this contains? I've been around alien food for years. You learn to be careful. Tom was not offended. On Earth, we have a saying, when in doubt, ask. There's no shame in not knowing everything. Lady Sarah, a crystalline being who glittered like a living diamond, spoke up. Wisdom often comes disguised as ignorance. Tom nodded. My dad used to say that the smartest person in the room is usually the one asking questions, not the one giving answers. The dinner guests murmured among themselves. This was not how they expected a consort to behave. Most people in Tom's position would have been angry about the test or tried to prove how smart they were. Tom just treated it as a learning experience. But not everyone was interested in testing Tom's character. Some wanted him gone entirely. The first assassination attempt came during a state ceremony. Tom was standing beside Queen Zara as she received ambassadors from the Spiral Alliance. The Great Hall was filled with hundreds of dignitaries. Tom noticed a server moving wrong. The alien was nervous, sweating, and kept looking around instead of focusing on his job. Tom had worked in enough spaceports to recognize suspicious behavior. When the server reached for something inside his serving cart, Tom acted. He did not fight or shout. Instead, he stepped forward and said loudly, "Excuse me, friend, but I think you dropped something." The startled assassin looked down automatically. In that moment of confusion, Tom grabbed the alien's wrist and twisted gently but firmly. A small energy weapon fell from the assassin's hand and clattered on the floor. Guards immediately surrounded them, but Tom held up his other hand. Wait. Don't hurt him. Tom looked into the assassin's eyes. The alien was young and terrified. You don't really want to do this, do you? Someone told you to, right? The assassin nodded shakily. Who? Queen Zara asked. Her voice was deadly quiet. Tom kept his grip on the assassin but spoke gently. Look, kid, you're in serious trouble already. But the queen is fair. If you tell the truth, she might show mercy. The young alien broke down and confessed everything. He had been hired by agents of Admiral Rex, a powerful military commander who wanted to overthrow Queen Zara and rule the galaxy himself. After the guards led the assassin away, Queen Zara turned to Tom. You could have been killed. Why did you not let the guards handle it? Because I saw a scared kid making a bad choice, Tom said. Fighting him would have just made things worse. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to talk to it. Admiral Beck approached them. Lord Tom, our intelligence indicates that Admiral Rex is gathering support among the military. He claims that your marriage weakens the Empire. What does he want? Tom asked. Power, Queen Zara said simply. Rex has always believed that strength comes only through conquest and fear. He sees our union as weakness because it was based on choice, not force. Tom thought about this. So he's going to try to take over. He already is, Admiral Beck said grimly. 3 battle fleets have declared for him. More are wavering. If he moves against us, it could mean civil war. That night, Tom walked alone in the palace gardens. The gardens were beautiful, filled with plants from across the galaxy. Some glowed with soft light. Others sang quiet melodies in the breeze. But Tom barely noticed. He was thinking hard about the situation. Queen Zara found him sitting by a fountain that showed holographic images of distant worlds. You are troubled, she said, settling beside him on the stone bench. I'm just a mechanic, Zara, Tom said. He had started using her name in private, which she seemed to like. I fix engines and cargo haulers. I don't know anything about running an empire or stopping wars. What do you know? Tom was quiet for a moment. I know how to look at something broken and figure out how to make it work again. I know how to get different parts working together even when they don't seem compatible. And what do you see when you look at our current problem? Tom stared up at the stars visible through the garden's crystal dome. I see people who are scared. The rebels aren't really fighting against you. They're fighting against change. They're worried that if humans can rise to positions of power, then everything they know about the galaxy will change. And Admiral Rex? He's different. He really does want power for himself. But he's using the others' fears to get it. Queen Zara nodded. A wise assessment. So what would you do? On Earth, when we had problems between different groups, sometimes the answer wasn't to fight. Sometimes it was to give everyone something better to work toward together. Before Queen Zara could respond, Admiral Beck came running through the garden. Her 4 arms gestured urgently. Your Majesty. Admiral Rex's fleet has left their base. Our scouts report they're heading toward the capital system. They'll be here in 3 days. Queen Zara stood gracefully, her face becoming the mask of imperial authority again. Alert all loyal fleets. Prepare the planetary defenses. We will meet them in battle. Wait, Tom said, also standing. Before we start a war, can I try something? Both women looked at him in surprise. What did you have in mind? Queen Zara asked. Tom took a deep breath. Let me talk to Admiral Rex. Not as your consort, just as a human who wants to understand what he's really afraid of. Admiral Beck made a sound of protest. That's incredibly dangerous. Rex could kill you or use you as a hostage. Maybe, Tom agreed. But if there's a chance to avoid a civil war that could destroy half the galaxy, isn't it worth trying? Queen Zara studied Tom's face for a long moment. Around them, the singing plants had gone quiet, as if they too were waiting for her decision. Very well, she said finally. But you will not go alone. And if Rex refuses to listen, we will be ready for war. As they walked back toward the palace, Tom felt the weight of what he had volunteered to do. Tomorrow, he would try to convince the most dangerous military commander in the galaxy that cooperation was better than conquest. He was just a mechanic from Earth. But sometimes, the right tool for the job was not the biggest or the strongest. Sometimes, it was just the one willing to try something different. Tom stood on the bridge of Queen Zara's flagship, watching Admiral Rex's battle fleet approach through the vast darkness of space. Hundreds of warships moved in perfect formation, their weapons charged and shields raised. Each ship could destroy a city. Together, they could crack planets. They'll reach firing range in 2 hours, reported Captain Vale, a reptilian officer with scales that changed color when he was nervous. Right now, those scales were bright yellow. Queen Zara stood beside her command throne, wearing her ceremonial armor that sparkled like captured starlight. Admiral Beck, status of our defensive fleet? Ready for battle, Your Majesty, came the reply from the communications system. But Rex has more ships than we expected. The fight will be close. Tom watched the approaching fleet and felt sick. Thousands of people were about to die because of him. If he had never fixed that throne, none of this would have happened. I still think I should talk to Rex first, Tom said. Absolutely not, Admiral Beck's voice crackled through the speakers. Rex is a killer. He'll destroy your shuttle before you get within range. Then I'll go in my old cargo ship, Tom said. It's still in the palace hangar, right? Rex won't see an old freighter as a threat. Queen Zara turned to study Tom's face. You really believe you can convince him to stop this war? I have to try. My dad always said that every problem has a solution if you're willing to look hard enough. Captain Vale's scales shifted to nervous purple. Your Majesty, even if Rex agrees to talk, what could a human say that would change his mind? He believes humans are weak. Tom smiled sadly. Maybe that's exactly what I need to show him. An hour later, Tom sat in the pilot's seat of his beat-up cargo ship. The old vessel looked tiny next to the elegant warships around it. Queen Zara had wanted to send guards with him, but Tom refused. This had to be just him, alone and honest. Tom, Queen Zara's voice came through the radio. If Rex tries to hurt you, I'll turn his entire fleet into scrap metal. I know, Tom said, starting up his engines. But he won't. Deep down, Rex is like everyone else. He's scared and angry and trying to protect something he cares about. I just need to figure out what that is. The cargo ship limped away from the royal fleet and toward Admiral Rex's massive armada. Tom's hands were steady on the controls, but his heart was beating fast. He was about to try something that every military advisor had called impossible. As Tom approached the enemy fleet, his radio crackled to life. Unknown vessel, you are entering a restricted combat zone. Change course immediately or be destroyed. This is Tom of Earth, he replied calmly. I'm Queen Zara's consort. I'm requesting permission to speak with Admiral Rex. Silence filled the radio for a long moment. Then a different voice spoke, deep and commanding. This is Admiral Rex. I know who you are, human. You're the reason this war must happen. Maybe, Tom said. But I'd like to understand why you think that. Could we talk face to face? You want to surrender? I want to understand. Another pause. You have courage, I'll give you that. Very well. Land in my flagship's docking bay. But know this, human, you leave here as my prisoner, or you don't leave at all. Tom guided his old ship into the belly of Admiral Rex's massive flagship. The docking bay was enormous, filled with fighter craft and attack shuttles. Armed soldiers surrounded Tom's ship as he shut down the engines. Admiral Rex was waiting for him. The alien was impressive and terrifying. He stood 8 feet tall with thick gray skin like living stone. His 4 arms each ended in clawed hands that could crush metal. His eyes glowed red like burning coals. When he spoke, his voice sounded like distant thunder. "So," Rex said, looking down at Tom. "You are the human who has bewitched our queen." "I'm just a mechanic," Tom replied honestly. "I fix things." Rex laughed, a sound like boulders falling down a mountain. "A mechanic. And for this, the galaxy burns." He gestured for Tom to follow him. "Come. Let me show you something." They walked through corridors filled with soldiers of a dozen different species. All of them looked at Tom with a mixture of curiosity and hostility. Rex led him to an observation deck that showed a view of the gathered fleets. "Look out there," Rex commanded. "What do you see?" Tom studied the view. Both fleets hung in space like opposing storms about to collide. "I see a lot of scared people about to fight a war that nobody really wants." "Scared?" Rex's voice rose in anger. "These are the finest warriors in the galaxy." "Yes," Tom said calmly. "And they're scared. Just like you are." Rex's 4 hands clenched into fists. "I fear nothing." "Then why are you here?" Tom asked. "Why start a war over one human marrying the queen? What are you really afraid of?" For a moment, Tom thought Rex might attack him. The big alien's red eyes blazed with fury. But then something changed. The anger faded, replaced by something that looked almost like pain. "You want to know what I fear?" Rex said quietly. "I fear the end of order. For 1,000 years, the galaxy has had rules. The strong lead. The weak follow. Might makes right. It's simple and it works. And then I came along," Tom said. "Yes. A weak human who knows nothing of war or conquest. Yet the Queen chose you over warriors who have conquered star systems. She chose kindness over strength, cooperation over dominance. If that becomes the new way, everything changes." Tom nodded slowly. "And you think that's bad?" "I know it's dangerous. Weakness invites attack. If the galaxy sees the Empire as soft, every enemy will strike at once. Billions will die." Tom walked to the window and stared out at the 2 fleets. "Can I tell you about Earth, Rex?" "If you wish." "A long time ago, my world was divided into many nations. They fought each other constantly. Each one tried to prove they were the strongest. The wars got bigger and bigger until we almost destroyed our whole planet." Rex listened silently. "But then something changed," Tom continued. "We realized that working together made us stronger than fighting apart. Not weaker. Stronger. When nations started cooperating instead of conquering, we solved problems we never could have solved alone. We cured diseases, explored space, built things that seemed impossible." "Pretty words," Rex said. "But words don't stop enemy fleets." Tom turned to face the Admiral. "You're right. Words don't stop fleets. But unity does. When people work together, they become stronger than any individual warrior." "Prove it." Tom thought for a moment. Then he smiled. "Okay. I will. But first, let me ask you something. What do you want most in the galaxy?" Rex looked surprised by the question. "What do I want?" "Yes. Not what you're fighting against. What you're fighting for." The big alien was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke in a voice so low Tom had to strain to hear it. "I want the galaxy to be safe. I want an end to the constant wars and rebellions. I want peace, but real peace, not the kind that breaks the moment someone strong enough challenges it." Tom nodded. "That's exactly what I want too. The difference is, I think we can get it without conquest." "How?" Tom pulled out his toolkit and removed a small device. "This is a portable communications array. It can link into any ship's system." He handed it to Rex. I want to make a proposal to both fleets. Together. Rex examined the device suspiciously. What kind of proposal? A project. Something big enough to need everyone's help. Something that will make the galaxy safer and stronger without anyone having to lose. Against his better judgment, Rex found himself curious. What kind of project? Tom activated the device. His voice was broadcast to every ship in both fleets. This is Tom of Earth, speaking to all the brave warriors gathered here today. You came here ready to fight and die for what you believe in. That kind of courage is precious. Too precious to waste on destroying each other. On dozens of ships, soldiers stopped what they were doing to listen. I want to propose something different. A chain of space stations placed throughout the galaxy. Not military bases, but meeting places. Neutral ground where any species can come to trade, learn, and solve problems together. Each station would be built and operated by crews from different worlds working as equals. Rex's red eyes widened as Tom continued. Admiral Rex is right that the galaxy faces threats. Pirates, raiders, natural disasters, plagues. But imagine if every system had a station nearby where they could call for help. Imagine if knowledge and resources could flow freely between worlds. Imagine if disputes could be settled by judges from neutral species instead of by war. Tom looked directly at Rex as he spoke to the fleets. This project would need warriors to protect the stations. It would need engineers to build them. Scientists to design them. Diplomats to run them. Every skill, every species, working together towards something greater than any one world could achieve alone. The radio crackled as responses came from ships throughout both fleets. Voices speaking different languages, representing dozens of species, all asking questions about this impossible vision. You're talking about changing everything, Rex said quietly. No, Tom replied. I'm talking about building something new while keeping what works from the old. You want order. These stations would create order through cooperation instead of fear. You want peace. True peace comes when everyone has a stake in making things work. Rex was silent for a long time, staring out at his fleet. Finally, he spoke. And you would trust me to help build this? I would trust you to help lead it, Tom said. You know more about galactic security than almost anyone. These stations will need someone like you to keep them safe. Rex looked down at the small human beside him. You are either the wisest fool in the galaxy or the most dangerous enemy the Empire has ever faced. Tom smiled. Maybe both. The Admiral's laugh rumbled like a distant earthquake. Very well, human. I will try your way. But if this grand project fails, if chaos returns to the galaxy because of your soft approach, I reserve the right to say I told you so. Fair enough, Tom said. 6 months later, Tom stood on the observation deck of Unity Station 1, the first of what would become hundreds of such stations throughout the galaxy. Through the transparent wall, he could see ships from dozens of worlds docked at the station. Merchants traded goods from across the galaxy. Diplomats solved disputes with words instead of weapons. Scientists shared discoveries that would have taken centuries to spread under the old system. Queen Zara joined him at the window. She was no longer wearing her ceremonial armor, just simple robes that let her move freely as she worked alongside the station crews. The Council of Worlds just approved funding for 50 more stations, she reported. Even some of the systems that opposed our marriage are asking to join the project. Tom nodded. Rex was right about one thing. People respect strength. They just needed to see that cooperation could be a form of strength too. As if summoned by his name, Admiral Rex approached them. The big alien looked different now. He still carried himself like a warrior, but there was satisfaction in his red eyes instead of anger. The new defensive protocols are working well, Rex reported. 3 pirate raids were stopped last week by combined station fleets. No shots were fired. The pirates surrendered when they realized they were outgunned. See? Tom said. Strength through unity. Rex shook his massive head. I still say you're the strangest warrior I've ever met, Tom of Earth. You conquered a galaxy without firing a shot. I didn't conquer anything, Tom replied. I just fixed something that was broken. Queen Zara took Tom's hand in hers. And in doing so, you've given us something more valuable than conquest. You've given us a future worth building together. Outside the observation window, ships from 1,000 worlds moved in peaceful harmony, carrying the promise of that future to every corner of the galaxy. And at the heart of it all was the simple truth that Tom had always known: the best way to solve any problem is to understand it, work together, and never give up on making things better. The galaxy had learned that humans were not the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced species among the stars. But they were the ones who could see broken things and imagine how to make them whole again. And sometimes, that was exactly what the universe needed most.